Yes, friends, welcome back to Basic English class, second semester BCom, BBM, and BHM. We are into Unit 3 where we have been discussing poems. So far, 3 poems are over, and now we are going to discuss the fourth poem in Unit 3 in this session. So, session 22 and 23 will deal with this poem by Meera Bai with the title I Am True to My Lord. So this poem is different in a sense. This was produced in the Bhakti movement. So as the word suggests, Bhakti, devotion, was the key in this movement. And poetry produced during this time expresses the devotion to a particular god. So let's learn about the poet first, Meera Bai. She was a 16th century Hindu mystic poet. So not only bhakti devotion, but she was also uh, interested in this mysticism, adhyatma. ಹಿಂದೂ ಅಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮದಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಂಥ ಪೊಯೆಟ್ ಇವರು, ಸೇಂಟ್ ಪೊಯೆಟ್, ಸಂತ ಕವಿ. ಮತ್ತು she was a saint poet and devotee of Lord Krishna. She is also a celebrated bhakti saint poet, particularly in the North Indian Hindu tradition. And the songs that she composed in praise of Krishna are actually called bhajans. So ಇವರು ದೇವರ ಕುರಿತಾಗಿ ರಚಿಸಿದಂಥ ಹಾಡುಗಳು ಭಜನೆಯ ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಇವೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. So she dedicated her life, her service to Lord Krishna. She praised and danced in devotion to Lord Krishna, and she despised this earthly life and wished for a mystic life. ಅಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮದ ಲೋಕಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಈ ಒಂದು ಭೌತಿಕ ಮತ್ತು ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕ ಇದರ ನಡುವಿನ ತೊಳಲಾಟವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅವರ ಭಜನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದಾಗಿದೆ. She was born into a very royal family of Rajputs in Rajasthan in 1498 probably. And since she was born in a royal family, her education also was royal. A special education was given to her that included music, religion, politics, and government. In her childhood, it is said that a saint probably presented her an idol of Lord Krishna, and from then onwards, from her childhood, she started loving Lord Krishna, and she devoted herself to the god. And later, when she came of age, forcibly she was married to the crown prince Bhojraj of Mewar in 1516. And her husband died in 1521, probably of battle wounds. Now, she was a dutiful wife. She discharged her duty as a wife, but she was more attracted into the mystic world. Therefore, she continued to devote Krishna, Lord Krishna, and at the same time she was discharging her duties as a wife to her husband Bhojraj. Yes, but once her husband was dead, her in-laws, brother-in-laws, started troubling her. maybe due to personal issues or political issues. She tolerated the same, but most of the time she spent in a private temple that was dedicated to Krishna, and she was only drawn by the mystic world. In the same temple, she also treated, welcomed saints, and composed songs in praise of Krishna, and longed to be united with him. So, as I said, there was a rift between in-laws of Meera and Meera. There was nothing wrong with Meera. Rather, her way of life, personal and mystical. Uh, Probably there is a chance also that even personal things intrigued her brothers-in-law. Therefore, there were a few attempts to kill her. Once a poisonous snake in a basket full of flowers was given to her, uh, intended to kill her. That was actually intended to kill her. But it is said that as she opened the basket, the snake turned into a garland of flowers. And some other time, she was also given a cup of poison. And though she drank that poison, she was harmless. The poison did not harm her. So, in these two occasions, she escaped death. So, remember, her pursuit was religion and mysticism. She did not care this physical world. She was a kind of rebel to establish norms of the society and family. Now, imagine those days, 16th century, women were not given the equal status or the public space. Woman was confined to the private spaces and were kept busy in domestic space in general. But though she lived in such a time, she was kind of rebel. She came out of the royal house and society and familial restraints. Therefore, this her pursuit of religion was against the royal family. So this was a reason, probably, why his brothers-in-law troubled her. When her husband died, remember, there was a practice called sati in North India, especially in Rajasthan. When her husband died, uh, just 5 years later their marriage, the practice was that if a husband dies, even wife should jump into that funeral pyre and she ought to die. ಸತಿ ಸಹಗಮನ ಪದ್ಧತಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿರ್ತೀರ ನೀವು. ಸೊ ಒಬ್ಬ ಗಂಡ ತೀರ್ಕೊಂಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾರೇ ಆಗಿರಲಿ, ಅವನ ಹೆಂಡತಿ ಕೂಡ ಆ ಒಂದು ಚಿತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾರಿ ಜೀವವನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಇಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಮೀರಾಬಾಯಿ ತನ್ನನ್ನು ತಾನು ಈ ಸತಿ ಪದ್ಧತಿಗೆ ಒಳಪಡಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ವಾಸ್ ಎ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿವೋಲ್ಟ್. One religious, another societal norm was broken by her. She also broke the regulations of royal family. When her husband died, see, as I said, she did not choose sati. She even flouted widowhood norms. No, there were also regulations on how a widow should live. After all, she lived, if she lived. Even she challenged those widowhood norms, went to temple, went into the public, sang. She sang songs in praise of Lord Krishna, and even she danced in devotion. Rather, she devoted herself to Lord Krishna as her divine husband. Fine, let us discuss this a term called divine husband later on. So this is how her pursuit was not to this physical life, but rather to a mystic life. ಈ ಭೌತಿಕ ಜಗತ್ತಿನಿಂದ ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕ ಜಗತ್ತಿನ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಅವರ ಪ್ರಯಾಣ ಸಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಅಥವಾ ಅವರ ಇಷ್ಟ ಏನಿತ್ತು, ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕ ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೃಷ್ಣನೊಂದಿಗೆ ಒಂದಾಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವರ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. Later, even Mughal Emperor Akbar heard about Meera's devotion. So once, along with his minister Tansen, he visited Meera Bai in disguise to know her power of singing. Especially, he was fond of, he had heard about her uh, singing abilities. So once he meets her in disguise and understands that yes, Meera was really such a great singer. So because of her rebellious attitude and behavior, she was rejected by her in-laws, society, family. Therefore, she left Mewar. She went to Martha, where she was born. She leaves that place also, and then she went to Lord Krishna temple in Dwarka in Gujarat. So last years of her were spent there in complete devotion of Lord Krishna. And it is said that Lord Krishna appeared before her because of her devotion. Her devotion was such a pure thing and great that even Lord Krishna appeared before her, and miraculously she became one with the idol of Krishna. So this is what is said about her, but sometimes the details vary for their references. Yet information varies on how and where she lived her last years and how she died. One rough idea is that she passed away in 1547, and again how is again a question, but according to one story, she became one with the idol of Lord Krishna. So let's recap this session. What we discussed in this class is that Meera Bai was a saint poet from Rajasthan who belonged to the Bhakti movement that spread across India at different times. Though she was born in royal family, she sought after mystic union with Lord Krishna. ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕವಾಗಿ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ದೇವರಾದಂಥ ಕೃಷ್ಣನೊಂದಿಗೆ ಒಟ್ಟಾಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವರ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. Since her childhood, she devoted herself to the God, and after marriage, after her husband's death, 2 attempts were made to kill her, but she escaped those attempts miraculously. Later on, she went to Dwarka and died there. Special thing about her life is that she lived against the norms of society, family, class, as well as gender. So this is all for today, friends. Let's continue this discussion in the next session. Thank you.